You know that moment when you're lying in bed at 2 a.m. and your mind won't shut up? There's this whole conversation happening in your head. One voice saying you should take that job. Another voice warning it's a trap. A third voice telling you to be grateful for what you have. But here's the crazy part. They all sound like you. Or do they? You've got your mom's voice in there, telling you to be practical. Your ex's voice, whispering you're not good enough. Society's voice, demanding you fit in. Your fear talking, but it sounds like wisdom. Your doubt speaking, but it feels like being realistic. And somewhere in all that noise, your real voice is trying to get a word in, but it's usually the quietest one. So you make decisions based on whoever's shouting the loudest. You follow the most demanding thoughts, not the most honest ones. You live by the voices that panic, while the universe whispers truth in a frequency you've forgotten how to hear. There's a specific kind of loss that comes from following the wrong internal GPS. From letting fake voices drive your life while your real voice sits in the passenger seat, quietly knowing a better route. You know something's off when your choices feel heavy. When success feels empty because it's not really yours. When you're living someone else's script and your story never gets written. But what if your real voice has been there the whole time? What if the universe has been speaking through you, but all the other noise drowns it out? Think about it. Space is full of signals. Some are from human satellites. Some are from dying stars. Some are just random noise. Radio astronomers spend years learning to tell the difference between authentic cosmic signals and meaningless static. That's exactly the skill we're going to learn today. We'll explore 5 cosmic phenomena that show you how to tune into what's real. Lighthouse stars. How some stars in space send out perfect, steady signals that never lie or change their tune. The universe's whisper. How the most important message in space is so quiet. Scientists almost missed it completely. Planet songs. How every world has its own unique vibration, and trying to copy someone else's frequency just creates noise. Solar storms versus clear signals. How to know when interference is messing with your reception. The power of cosmic silence. Why the most profound truths come to quiet spaces between all the chatter. These aren't just cool space facts. They're tools for your actual life. By the end of this, you'll know how to recognize your real voice from all the imposters. You'll have practical steps to tune out the static and tune into what the universe is actually trying to tell you. Because here's the thing. The universe doesn't speak in shoulds or shouldn'ts. It doesn't argue or justify or explain. It doesn't sound stressed or panicked or desperate. It just knows. And that knowing has been trying to reach you through the cosmos of your own inner space. Your authentic voice doesn't compete with the other voices. It doesn't need to win debates or prove its point. It just broadcasts truth, steady and clear, waiting for you to remember how to listen. The signals are already there. The question isn't whether you have an authentic voice. It's whether you're ready to learn its frequency. Number 1, Lighthouse Stars, the voice that never lies. You know when you're trying to make a decision and your mind becomes a debate team, one side arguing for the safe choice, the other pushing for the risky one. Everyone has valid points. Everyone sounds convincing. You go back and forth until you're dizzy. Ask your friends for advice and get 10 different opinions. Make pro and con lists that somehow make you more confused. You're looking for the right answer while a committee in your head argues about what that even means. Meanwhile, you're exhausted from all the internal negotiation, from trying to find truth in a room full of lawyers. Out in space, there are stars called pulsars that have solved this problem beautifully. These are stars that collapsed under their own weight until they became incredibly dense. Imagine the mass of our entire sun squeezed into a ball the size of a city. As they spin, they shoot out beams of light like cosmic lighthouses. The amazing thing? They pulse at exactly the same rate, every single time. Some pulse 30 times per second, Others pulse once every few seconds. But whatever their rhythm, they never vary. Ever. Scientists have been watching some of these stars for decades, and they're more reliable than atomic clocks. They don't have committee meetings about when to pulse. They don't check the cosmic weather to see if it's a good time to send their signal. They just pulse. Consistently. Truthfully. Without doubt. Here's what this teaches us. Your authentic voice doesn't argue with itself. It just knows. Think about the decisions in your life that felt completely right. The ones where you didn't need to convince yourself or ask for validation. You just knew. That knowing didn't come from your debating committee. It came from your inner lighthouse. Your real voice pulses with the same consistency as those stars. It doesn't waver, doesn't negotiate, doesn't need permission to be heard. But here's the beautiful part. These lighthouse stars were created through intense pressure. The gravitational force that collapsed them was so extreme it would crush anything we know. Yet from that ultimate pressure came the most reliable signal in the universe. Your authentic voice often gets clearest under pressure too. When everything else is stripped away, when you can't afford to listen to the committee anymore, when you have to make a choice, that's when your inner lighthouse starts pulsing. Here's how to try this. 1. The pulse check. Next time you're confused about a decision, get quiet and ask, what would I choose if I didn't have to explain it to anyone? The first answer that comes up before your mind starts debating, that's your lighthouse pulsing. 2. The consistency test. Look at your past decisions that felt completely right. What do they have in common? Your authentic voice has a signature, just like those pulsars. Start noticing its pattern. 3. The no committee rule. When facing choices, set a timer for 2 minutes. Write down what you know without letting the debate start. Your lighthouse voice often shows up before the committee wakes up. What if you stopped trying to make the perfect decision and started listening for the pulse that doesn't doubt itself? What if your authentic voice isn't the loudest one in your head, but the most consistent one? What if the pressure you feel in difficult situations isn't crushing your ability to choose? It's actually helping your inner lighthouse shine brighter. I wonder what would happen if you trusted that steady pulse the way scientists trust those distant stars. If you let your inner lighthouse guide your choices instead of waiting for your committee to reach consensus. Your authentic voice doesn't need to convince anyone, including you. It just pulses with truth, steady and clear, waiting for you to tune into its frequency. Number 2. The universe's whisper. Why quiet voices tell the truth. You've been trained to listen for the loudest voice, the one screaming about deadlines, the one panicking about what could go wrong, the one demanding you hurry up and decide already. So you follow the voices that shout while missing the ones that whisper. You mistake volume for importance, urgency for truth. You think if something matters, it'll announce itself with sirens. But your deepest knowing often speaks quietly. That gentle pull towards something you can't explain. The subtle no that doesn't have reasons but feels absolutely certain. The quiet sense that you're meant to take a different path. You dismiss these whispers as wishful thinking. Tell yourself they're not practical enough to matter. You wait for your truth to arrive with fireworks while it's been whispering in your ear all along. Hidden throughout all of space is the faintest signal you can imagine. It's called the cosmic microwave background. Basically, it's the leftover warmth from when the universe began. It's incredibly quiet, just barely above absolute zero. This signal is so faint that when scientists first detected it, they thought their equipment was broken. They spent months cleaning pigeon droppings off their antenna, trying to get rid of what they thought was just noise. Only later did they realize they discovered the universe's original voice, the first light that ever shone, still echoing everywhere. This whisper carries the blueprint for everything, where galaxies would form, how stars would be born, The structure of everything we see today was encoded in that gentle signal, traveling for nearly 14 billion years. Here's what this teaches us. The most important signals don't shout. They whisper consistently across all of time and space. Your deepest guidance works the same way. It doesn't compete with the panic voices or try to outsmart the logical voices. It just maintains its gentle frequency, carrying information about your life's structure that your mind hasn't figured out yet. The whispers know your blueprint before your brain knows your plans. But cosmic background radiation can only be heard when you eliminate interference. Scientists had to filter out signals from cell towers, car engines, microwaves, every source of noise, before they could hear creation's whisper. Here's how to try this. 1. The interference filter. Create 5 minutes of actual quiet every day. Not music, not podcasts, not relaxing sounds. Actual silence. In this space, notice what whispers when nothing's competing for attention. 2. The gentle pull practice. Throughout your day, notice the quiet attractions. The person you feel drawn to talk to. The book that catches your eye. The idea that won't go away. These pulls often carry more truth than your logical plans. 3. The whisper journal. Before bed, write down any quiet knowing that came up during the day. Not dramatic revelations. Gentle senses about people, situations, or directions. Track these whispers. You'll start seeing patterns. The scientists almost threw away the most important discovery in cosmology because it seemed too quiet, too subtle, too unimpressive. They were looking for dramatic cosmic events and almost missed the universe's most fundamental message. What if you've been doing the same thing? Waiting for your guidance to announce itself with drama while dismissing the gentle signals that have been guiding you all along? What if your most essential knowing doesn't feel urgent because it's so fundamental to who you are that it seems like silence until you learn to recognize its signature? I wonder what becomes possible when you start listening not just for the voices demanding attention, but for the quiet frequency that's been carrying your life's deepest information. What if the universe's most important message to you isn't delivered as cosmic drama, but as a gentle, persistent whisper that knows your true direction long before your mind maps the route? Your authentic knowing doesn't need to be dramatic to be true. Sometimes the most profound guidance whispers in frequencies so fundamental, you might mistake them for your own silence until you learn to hear creation's original voice speaking through you. Number 3. Planet songs. Why copying someone else's frequency creates static? You know when you're in a group and you start talking like everyone else? Using their phrases, matching their energy, laughing at jokes that aren't really funny to you. By the end of the night, you don't recognize your own voice. There's this exhaustion that comes from constantly tuning yourself to other people's frequencies, from scanning the room and adjusting your vibe to fit whatever wavelength everyone else is on. You become a human radio, always searching for stations, never playing your own music. You've forgotten what your authentic frequency even sounds like. You're so busy harmonizing with everyone else that your own song never gets played. Every planet in our solar system has its own unique sound. Not music exactly, but vibrations that scientists can pick up and convert into audio. Earth has this gentle, steady hum. Jupiter sounds deep and powerful, like distant thunder. Saturn creates these ethereal, almost magical tones. These aren't random noises. Each planet's sound comes from its core, its magnetic field, its relationship with solar wind. The vibration isn't something planets try to do. It's what they naturally are. When NASA's Cassini spacecraft got close to Saturn, it picked up radio waves so beautiful they sounded like singing. Saturn wasn't trying to impress anyone or sound like Jupiter. It was just being authentically Saturn, and the result was gorgeous. Here's what this teaches us. When you vibrate at your authentic frequency, you create something beautiful that no one else can make. Each planet maintains its unique sound even when it's surrounded by other worlds. Earth doesn't try to sound like Mars. Venus doesn't attempt to harmonize with Mercury. They each contribute their authentic tone to the cosmic symphony. Your Raol voice doesn't need to blend in with everyone else's. It needs to add its unique frequency to the mix. But here's what happens when signals try to copy each other. You get interference. Static, noise that drowns out both original signals. When planets tried to share the same frequency, the solar system would be chaos instead of harmony. The beauty of space happens because each world maintains its authentic vibration while staying in relationship with all the others. Here's how to try this. 1. The frequency check. Notice when you naturally feel energized versus when you feel drained. Your authentic frequency feels sustainable, not exhausting. Start paying attention to which conversations, activities, and environments let you vibrate naturally. 2. The copy test. Catch yourself adopting someone else's speaking style, opinions, or energy. Not judging it, just noticing. Ask, what would I actually say /feel/1 in this situation? Practice saying that instead. 3. The natural voice practice. Spend time with people who bring out your authentic frequency, where you laugh in your real laugh. Speak in your actual voice. Express your genuine thoughts. Notice what that feels like, then practice maintaining it in other settings. What if the thing that makes you weird or different is actually your most beautiful contribution? What if trying to sound like everyone else creates static that drowns out both your voice and theirs? What if the moments when you feel most like yourself aren't selfish? They're when you're adding your irreplaceable frequency to the cosmic symphony of human experience. I wonder what would happen if you stopped scanning for other people's stations and started broadcasting your own signal clearly. What if you trusted that your authentic frequency is exactly what some corner of the universe has been waiting to hear? What if the goal isn't to harmonize with everyone, but to add your unique tone so the whole composition becomes richer? Think about your favorite songs. They're beautiful because each instrument plays its own part, not because they all play the same note. The magic happens in a unique combination, not in everyone sounding identical. Your authentic voice isn't meant to copy anyone else's frequency. It's meant to add something to the cosmic song that only you can contribute. What if instead of trying to fit in, you focus on tuning into your natural vibration, so clearly that it becomes impossible to mistake for anyone else's? The universe doesn't need another copy of someone else's song. It needs the original composition that only you can play. Number 4. Solar storms versus clear signals. How to know when interference is messing with your reception. You know those days when your head feels like a radio stuck between stations? Everything sounds urgent and confusing. Your anxiety is talking. Your fears are shouting. Your stress is broadcasting on every frequency. You can't tell which thoughts are actually yours and which are just noise from the chaos around you. Sometimes the interference isn't even from your own mind. It's your friend's panic about their relationship bleeding into your decisions about yours. Your family's expectations creating static over your own desires. Social media's highlight reel, making your real life sound like failure. You try to make important choices while all this interference is happening. Like trying to have a phone conversation during a thunderstorm. You can't tell what's the actual message and what's just electrical noise. Out in space, this happens to real signals all the time. The sun regularly throws what scientists call solar storms, massive bursts of charged particles that race through the solar system and mess with everything electronic. When these solar storms hit Earth, they interfere with radio communications, GPS systems, even power grids. Suddenly, clear signals become garbled. Satellites lose their connection. Navigation systems give wrong directions. But here's the thing, the interference is temporary. The storms pass. The original signals are still there, still broadcasting their truth. They just get masked by all the electrical chaos for a while. Experienced radio operators know how to wait out the storm. They don't make important navigation decisions when they know solar interference is messing with their equipment. They wait for the static to clear before trusting their instruments. Here's what this teaches us. Sometimes your inner signals get scrambled by external storms, but your authentic voice is still broadcasting underneath all that interference. When you're stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, it's like a solar storm is hitting your internal communication system. Everything gets louder and more confusing. Your fear starts sounding like wisdom. Your panic starts feeling like urgency. But the interference isn't the actual message. Your authentic voice is still there. You just can't hear it clearly until the storm passes. Here's how to try this. 1. Storm recognition. Learn to recognize when you're in a solar storm mentally or emotionally. Stress, major life changes, relationship drama, work pressure, these all create interference. When you notice the storm, don't make major decisions until it passes. 2. Wait for clear signals. Just like radio operators, give yourself time for the interference to settle before trusting your inner guidance. Big decisions made during emotional storms often feel wrong later when your reception clears. 3. Find your quiet frequency. Identify what helps clear your internal static. For some, it's walking in nature. For others, it's journaling, meditation, or talking to a trusted friend. Find your method for getting clear reception and use it before important choices. The most experienced space communicators know something crucial. When interference is high, the answer isn't to turn up the volume. Making everything louder just creates more noise. The answer is to wait for the clear channel. What if your worst decisions weren't made because you're bad at choosing, but because you were trying to navigate during a solar storm? What if those times when you just knew something was right happened when your internal signals were crystal clear? What if learning to recognize interference is just as important as learning to hear your authentic voice? I wonder what would happen if you treated your inner guidance system with the same respect that NASA treats their communication equipment. If you waited for clear signals before making important life choices. What if you stopped judging yourself for being confused during the storms and started getting curious about what becomes clear when the interference passes? Some of your best decisions might be waiting on the other side of simply recognizing when external chaos is messing with your reception and giving yourself time for the static to settle. Your authentic voice doesn't get louder during storms. It gets clearer when the interference stops. Learning to wait for clear signals might be the most practical spiritual skill you ever develop. Number 5. The power of cosmic silence. Why truth emerges in the spaces between noise. You know how sometimes your best ideas come in the shower? Or while you're walking, not trying to figure anything out? Or right before you fall asleep, when your mind finally stops working so hard? Those moments when you're not actively thinking, not trying to solve anything, not pushing for answers, and suddenly you just know something, clear as day, like the answer was always there, waiting for you to stop looking so hard. But most of the time, you don't give yourself those quiet spaces. You fill every moment with podcasts, music, conversations, scrolling. You're afraid of silence, afraid of what might come up if you stop distracting yourself. You think the answers will come from consuming more information, asking more people, thinking harder. But your deepest knowing often shows up in the spaces between all that noise. In space, there are regions called cosmic voids, vast areas with almost no galaxies, no stars, no visible matter. For a long time, scientists thought these were just empty, boring spaces. Nothing interesting happening there. But when they looked closer, they discovered something amazing. These apparently empty regions are actually full of invisible structure, dark matter webs that connect everything, subtle energy fields that help organize how galaxies form. The voids aren't empty. They're full of the invisible forces that hold the universe together. And here's the most incredible part. It's in these quiet regions that you can detect the universe's most subtle signals. The cosmic background radiation we talked about earlier, it's clearest in the spaces between all the loud cosmic activity. Here's what this teaches us. The most profound truths often emerge not from more input, but from the spaces between all the noise. Your mind works the same way. In the quiet spaces between your thoughts, between your plans, between your conversations, that's where your deepest knowing tends to surface. Silence isn't empty. It's full of invisible forces that organize your life's direction. But we've been taught that silence means nothing's happening. That productivity means constant input and output. That if we're not actively thinking or doing, we're wasting time. What if it's in those unproductive moments that your life's most important information becomes clear? Here's how to try this. 1. The void practice. Create actual empty spaces in your day. Not meditation with instructions, not relaxing music. Just 5 to 10 minutes of sitting quietly without agenda. Notice what surfaces when you're not trying to make anything happen. 2. The between space check. Pay attention to what you notice in transition moments. Walking from your car to the building. Waiting for your coffee to brew. The pause between finishing one task and starting another. Insights often slip in through these cracks. 3. The no input challenge. Try one activity daily without any background noise or distraction. Shower without planning your day. Walk without podcasts. Drive without music. See what your mind serves up when it's not being fed constant information. The cosmic void seemed worthless until scientists realized they contain the framework for everything visible. Your quiet moments might feel like nothing's happening until you recognize they're full of the invisible structure organizing your life's direction. What if your need for constant noise isn't keeping you informed? It's keeping you from hearing the most important information. What if the answers you're searching for externally are already present internally, waiting for enough quiet space to emerge? What if boredom isn't the enemy of creativity, but the space where creativity is born? What if confusion isn't solved by gathering more opinions, but by creating enough inner stillness to hear your own clarity? I wonder what becomes possible when you start treating silence not as emptiness to be filled, but as fertile space where your deepest knowing can finally be heard. What if the universe's most important message to you isn't competing for attention with all the other noise, but waiting patiently in the quiet spaces between your busy thoughts? Your authentic voice doesn't need to shout to be heard. It needs space to speak. Sometimes the most practical thing you can do is stop filling every moment with input and start trusting what emerges in the cosmic silence of your own inner space. We've explored 5 ways the universe teaches us to recognize authentic signals, and something beautiful has emerged. You already have a sophisticated inner communication system. You just needed to remember how to use it. Lighthouse Stars showed you that your authentic voice doesn't argue with itself. It pulses with consistent truth, steady and reliable as those distant stars. When you learn to recognize that steady pulse inside you, decisions become clearer. The universe's whisper revealed that the most important guidance often comes quietly. Your deepest knowing doesn't compete with the panic voices. It whispers consistently, carrying your life's blueprint in frequencies too fundamental to be dramatic. Planet songs taught you that copying someone else's frequency creates static. Your authentic voice isn't meant to harmonize with everyone else. It's meant to add your unique sound to the cosmic symphony of human experience. Solar storms versus clear signals gave you permission to wait out the interference. When stress and chaos scramble your inner reception, you don't have to make major decisions until the static clears and your authentic frequency comes through. Cosmic silence showed you that truth emerges in the spaces between noise. Your most profound insights often surface not from consuming more information, but from creating enough inner quiet for your deeper knowing to speak. These aren't just cosmic metaphors. They're practical tools for your actual life. You now have ways to distinguish between authentic inner guidance and the imposter voices that sound urgent but lead nowhere good. You have the same cosmic rights as any star in the universe, the right to broadcast your authentic signal without apologizing for its unique frequency. Your real voice has been there all along, steady as a lighthouse, consistent as background radiation, unique as a planet song. It doesn't need permission to be heard. It doesn't need to convince anyone, including you. It just needs space to transmit its truth. The universe isn't speaking through dramatic cosmic events in your life. It's speaking through that quiet knowing that arises when you create enough inner stillness to hear it, through the gentle pulls you feel towards certain people and possibilities, through the consistent pulse of what feels right, even when it doesn't make logical sense. The signals are already there. Your authentic voice is already broadcasting. The question is whether you're ready to tune into its frequency and trust what you hear. You're not looking for your voice. You're remembering how to listen to it. As we reach the end of our cosmic journey together, one question remains. If the universe has been speaking through you all along, if your authentic voice has been broadcasting its truth as consistently as those lighthouse stars, as gently as cosmic whispers, as uniquely as each planet song, what becomes possible when you finally trust what you're hearing? What if the confusion isn't because you don't have an authentic voice, but because you've been taught to listen to every frequency except your own? What if coming home to your inner truth isn't about finding something new, but about tuning into the signal that's been there all along, steady and clear, waiting patiently for you to remember its frequency? What if the universe isn't trying to speak to you, but through you, and your most important job is simply learning to get out of your own way and let that authentic signal shine? Tonight, in the quiet moments, listen. Your cosmic voice is calling.